It's the 21st of March and I'm going to be doing my first sowing of carrots of the year. So I'm going to go through the process I do to get early but perfect and straight carrots that don't fork. But first about the sowing date. So I had scheduled for my first sowing of carrots for late February. Now you can do early sowings of carrots in a polytunnel from like late January, February on. But I wouldn't be sowing, I wouldn't just have this greenhouse, so I would be sowing them outside late February under plastic, so that would be under clear plastic, and that just creates the kind of polytunnel effect as well. So I've done this the last 2 years and it's worked really well, sowing them late February under clear plastic, and I just get them a bit earlier than you normally would. So carrots you'd be probably sowing kind of late March into April really as you start sowing carrots. So this means I can get a crop a bit earlier. But the most important thing about this video is bringing you through how to get straight carrots and carrots that aren't forked and all funny and ugly looking. So you may have heard before, never add manure the previous year or the year that you're growing carrots because it'll cause the carrots to fork. And this is untrue. I've proven this the last few years. Every year for at least the last 3 years, if not 4 years, I've grown carrots where I've applied manure, whether it was late winter or early spring of that year. And every year I've got really, really good straight carrots. Now you will get some carrots that go a bit funny and wonky, but there's reasons for that. Rule number 1 with carrots is always sow direct. Never sow in a seed tray first and then plant them out, because that's where you will get forked carrots for sure. And look, you will see garden centres, nurseries selling carrots in trays. And then you bring them home and you plant them out. And some carrots may do really well and others you'll get stumpy forked carrots. So why is that? And it's because carrots don't like disturbance. Because they're a root crop, if their tiny root at the start gets damaged or interfered with, that's what will cause the forking in carrots. So it's at transplanting when you're taking it out of the tray and you might be kind of dividing them out, and you might do a bit of disturbance or a bit of damage to the carrot little root, and that's what will cause your forking. So that's why you always should direct sow your carrots outside. The same rule applies for parsnips as well. So now that we know that we should direct sow them, the second most important rule is sowing that carrot seed into a fine seed bed. So with my bed prep, usually I would have the bed emptied in by late winter, have it manured and have it mulched for the rest of the winter, early spring. Come this time, I'll take off my mulch. The worms would have done a lot of work on that manure or compost that I would have added to the bed. And then if I feel like the top layer is not fine enough, it's a bit rough, it all depends on what manure or what compost I've added to it. But I might add a small layer of fine garden compost, or if I don't have access to that, I just can use bag compost. And we're only talking a real small layer. So we're talking about 2-3 centimeters, and that's just to create a little nice bed for the seed to start out in. So why we want this is because we want the root that initially develops to have a nice soft fine bed to form in before it starts pushing down through the soil. So if you don't have this in the first couple of centimeters, the root will start to form, and if it's any little lumps, any stones, any clumps, that can distort the root development, and that can also cause forking as well. So even if you give it 2-3 centimeters of a fine compost to start off in, it'll be fine after that. So once the carrot is germinated and sent down to root into that fine compost, it's developed enough that it has enough strength and energy to push down through the rest of the soil and not get damaged. So generally it's just kind of babying carrots through that first stage, and once you're past that, they're relatively easy to look after. You just keep an eye on watering, and then I would always keep my carrots netted for most of the season just to keep that carrot root fly off. Now you can intercrop with the likes of onions, chives, scallions, which may deter the carrot root fly. I've done this in previous years. It's a lovely companion plant, but the most effective way is netting the carrots straight away and keeping the net on them. So this bed that I'm sowing currently is able to take 4 lines easily. All I'm doing is using the back of the rake to make 4 lines, and I'll just sow the seed into this. I like to sow the seed quite thick because the slugs will most likely be an issue in the initial stages. I have to keep an eye on those, but thicker I find is a small bit better. Because it's still early for sowing carrots, and this is why I'm using the clear plastic to create that polytunnel effect. For the initial stages, I'll just lay the clear plastic straight down on top of the bed and weigh it down. So once there's about 80% germination of those carrots, I'll lift the clear plastic up, put hoops, and put that clear plastic on again. This is just creating that polytunnel effect. If I feel like it gets too hot during the day, I'll open either end just to get a bit of airflow in there. Now, slugs is the one thing that you have to look out for once the germination comes on. That's why I generally sow a bit thicker, but still, I still have to keep an eye out for them because they can get rid of big patches if I'm not careful. What I've done before where they've gotten rid of big patches is re-sown again straight away, and these eventually catch up with the other carrots. You've heard people doing beer traps. People lay down like plastic containers upside down, which will draw the slugs in during the day, and you can remove that. Some people use organic slug pellets. I would use these in extreme situations where it's really bad, but the fact that it's under plastic or under netting means that animals or birds can't get at those slug pellets as well. Because the carrots are direct sown, I won't be mulching this, which I usually do with a lot of my beds. The old silage was mulched there over the winter, spring, but this I have taken off before sowing, and that has gone into the compost. So you can do this with parsnips as well, covering with the clear plastic this time of year to get a bit earlier. I leave it until kind of later April to do parsnips because I don't really want to be harvesting those until autumn, winter. So based on my results the last couple or few years, I don't think it's a bad thing adding manure. I've got really good straight carrots the last couple of years, and I think the whole forking thing comes from damaged roots.